I'm going to give you a little insight into my weekend plans. Every Saturday night, my house, it's movie night. Now, I've got little ones, so I'm usually watching Disney. But sometimes I want to branch out and watch something else. And our own cinema analyst, Bill Timoney, is here now with some suggestions. Bill, we're going to be talking about movies about movies. Okay, what's a movie about?
Well, movies about the practice, the art, the craft, the business of making movies.
I did not know there was any such thing as a movie about a movie.
It's an entire genre. Look at the last Academy Awards last month.
Okay.
What were the two movies that won the most Oscars? The Artist and Hugo. The Artist,
Right.
the story of The Artist is about Hollywood as it changes from the silent era to the sound era.
Right.
And Hugo is a story about the birth of the cinema in France, specifically magician Georges Méliès, who in 1902 made a trip to the moon and is considered the first sci-fi fantasy film.
All right, so you've got some favorites that you're going to go through.
I got movies about movies.
Movies about movies.
Well, Hollywood has made scores of movies about Hollywood. Think of Singing in the Rain is a movie about the same story, actually.
So Hollywood really loves itself.
Hollywood loves itself.
So it wants to talk about itself.
Exactly.
Enough about me, now more about me.
What do you think about me? And in the 1950s, that's when they talk about themselves the most. Think of the remake of A Star is Born, Sunset Boulevard. But I think the ultimate best movie about Hollywood, about movie making in Hollywood, is from that era, but it's not any of those. It's called The Bad and the Beautiful. It starred Kirk Douglas and Lana Turner. It's a melodrama, and it's a fantastic. You know how sometimes when you're flipping, you come across, say, Shawshank Redemption. No matter how many times you've seen it, you have to watch it again and again.
Stop.
Bad and the Beautiful is that movie for me. I watch it again and again.
And I've never seen it.
It's a terrific movie. It's a simple movie about a producer trying to get a movie star, a director, and a screenwriter to work for him. They're all on top. He's on the bottom. But in flashback, we find out it wasn't always like that.
And from a filmmaker's eye, the black and white, there's a whole brilliance there. I know that's another topic
for another day. It actually won an Academy
Award
Award for the black and white cinematography. In fact, it holds a record in Oscar history. It won 5 out of 6 Academy Award. The only one that got nominated for it that didn't win was Kirk Douglas as Best Actor, but it won the other 5, and it didn't get a Best Picture nomination. So you ask, how can that happen?
Yeah.
But sure enough, it holds the record for most Oscar wins without having a Best Picture nomination. I recommend you got to see The Bad and the Beautiful.
Now, these movies about movies aren't just about movies made in Hollywood.
Hollywood, because everybody makes
about
a lot of
other countries
have their film industries.
So take us.
I would go to France for Francois Truffaut.
I would like to go to France as well.
I would like it too, and Francois Truffaut can bring you there if you see any of his movies. Especially his best movie, I think, is a movie about making a movie. It's called Day for Night, or in French it was called La Nuit Americain. Why do you ask? I will tell you why.
Yes.
Because day for night is the Hollywood term for making shooting a scene at night in daylight, because you can't light nighttime, so you just sort of underexpose it. So that phrase in other countries was called American Night, La Nuit Americaine. And it's about a filmmaker played by Truffaut as he goes through all the trials and tribulations of making his movie with all kinds of personal crises among the cast and crew. The British actress Jacqueline Bisset is in it, and you can also get it. How am I doing there? You got me? Good. You can get it in French, or you can get it subtitled in English.
So tell us. So you have a few other favorites.
In Italy, of course, you got Fellini, Federico Fellini. He's the ultimate best one. You got to get him for his great movie 8½. That's probably the best movie Fellini ever made.
8½. Okay.
It's a wonderful art film, very, very bizarre. If you haven't seen that kind of filmmaking of the time of the early '60s, that's the one to see. It's Fellini's 8½, or you can see a parody somebody made of Fellini, Peter Sellers, the great comic actor.
Oh, yes.
He made a movie called After the Fox, where he plays a crook who pulls off a heist by pretending to be a famous self-indulgent Italian filmmaker named Federico Fabrizi. And that's actually was the first screenplay ever written by Neil Simon.
All right, let me ask you something that might seem like an odd question, but listen, I'm flipping through my cable box or satellite, whatever. If it's not right there, I may not watch it. I'm not going to seek it out. So where do you go to get these movies?
Well, advanced planning is all I can say. I always go to Turner Classic Movies if I'm flipping to see what's on that day, but I also go to the TCM website to see what's coming that month. You can always do the Netflix things and stuff like that. But what I like the most is when you find out about a hidden treasure, a forgotten classic, a movie you've never heard of, but it turns out it's a great movie, other people say. I just go online, go to Amazon.com or something like that. I'll buy a cheap copy, and after I finish it, and I know I loved it so much, I pass it on to somebody else so they can enjoy it too.
All right, we're going to talk about Magic Box, I think?
Magic Box from England is a wonderful movie that starred Robert Donat. Oh, you're going to help me out there? Thank you so much, Laura. I can just lean closer to you and talk into your microphone. So that Robert Donat in the Magic Box is a British film about one of the first inventors of the motion picture camera. And it's a man called William Freeze Green. And it's a very obscure film, but everybody in London filmmaking, in London theater, like Laurence Olivier, plays a cop in it. That's really worth seeing. There's Swimming with Sharks, which a lot of people on this crew love. It's one of my all-time favorite films. I wouldn't call it Ebru friendly, but having lived in Hollywood a long time, the most honest film about what it's like in Hollywood today is the Kevin Spacey movie Swimming with Sharks.
You know, I think that the movies that you're talking about, are these movies that appeal to all ages, all people, or are they kind of specific to certain movies that are only going to appeal?
Certainly Singing in the Rain appeals to everybody, whereas Swimming with Sharks would be more adult. Fellini's 8.5 is can be pretty inscrutable. I one on my list from, it was a British film that was made in Germany called Shadow of the Vampire. What it is about the making of the 1922 vampire classic Nosferatu. And what they did was, they made a movie about the making of that movie with the guy who played the vampire was named Max Schreck. And what they did was, in this movie, Max Schreck turns out to be a real vampire. And he's played by Willem Dafoe, who gave an amazing performance, got an Oscar nomination for it, and all kinds of like hidden like Hollywood star movie making stuff. In the prop camera you see them using in the 1922 scenes is the actual camera that director F.W. Murnau used in 1922 when he made Nosferatu. So if you're a film geek like me, you love it. Your kids, maybe not so much.
Well, so I know our debate is already starting about what cartoon we're going to watch, but you're telling me I need to do my homework.
Sure.
Do a little searching on the internet,
go online,
and it's going to pay off.
Yeah, advanced plan, because you have to dig to get the treasure.
And that's the greatest thing, is finding a movie you've never heard of and you watch it, and then all of a sudden you fall in love with it, and then you got to share it with everyone.
Right.
And
After the Fox, Bad and the Beautiful. Check out some of those. You'll love them.
Well, we appreciate you sharing your thoughts with us.
And I appreciate you letting me be heard.
Indeed. All right, Bill Timoney, thank you so much for joining us.